before I was rudely interrupted. I guess paying attention to what God says he's planting versus what he's just setting. So planting something versus just setting it there. When you're planting something, you're building it root deep to grow. So I feel like God's so intentional. You had to think about what you're setting, root deep. Something that's going to be long lasting. Something that's going to be pest resistance, meaning the enemy's not touching you, sweetie. It's going to be something that they can't touch. Something that is durable. Something that, can hold. Something that is ultimately strong and useful to build something that is going to help all living beings if we're thinking about fertility and like growth and development, something that is not going to be infected, something that is natural, right? Building that root deep and then setting it next to something that will help it breathe, something that will help it relax, something that will purify the air or purify its surroundings, setting it next to something that will also give help and shelter to others around it when you think of wildlife habitats. And then it says privacy, something that's also setting it next to something that can cover those that are root deep. I'm trying to make my brain process make sense in words, and I don't know how well I'm doing that, but providing those resources for the poor and the needy, and figuratively and literally, like, the resource that you need is Jesus. And I think water is kind of like compared to Jesus in a lot of like biblical terms. So he's giving Jesus to the poor and needy.